classroom tonight. I'm Mr. Ruck Dashel. I go by a few different names. Sometimes you'll hear me called Mr. Ruck. I've heard kids call me Mr. Ruck Dash. Some kids don't even call me Mr. And I can handle all of that. I'm also a coach, though. You'll hear some people call me Coach Ruck or Coach Ruck Dashel. Sometimes I definitely just get called Ruck, even by my best friends. It's like I don't have a first name, but that's fine. A couple of things to know about me is that this is my 10th year teaching, and I've taught in Anacortes exclusively. Even my student teaching was here. I kind of got my start in teaching because my mom was a teacher. She taught here for 30 years in Anacortes, and before her mom was a teacher as well, down in Little Stanwood. And so I've been born and raised here my whole life. So Anacortes and the people that are here are super important to me, and that makes me really excited to be able to teach your son or daughter. In addition, I mentioned that I was a coach, and I coach cross country at the high school, and I coach track and field at the high school. I definitely don't look like your stereotypical cross country coach or runner, and I was definitely reminded of that this last weekend. I was at a cross country meet, and I was grabbing food from the coach's tent where we get free food, and the person in line next to me goes, "You're built more like a throws coach. What are you doing here?" And I am actually a throws coach, which was funny, but I do also coach cross country, and we are pretty good. Our girls team was second in state last year, and we had a girl win state too, so we're a pretty good team. In addition to that, I'm also a Young Life leader, and I've been doing that for 6 years now, specifically Young Life leader at the middle school. With that said, as far as other things about who I am, I really value getting to know kids and building relationships with them and getting to learn about them through having fun. I think that it would be difficult for me to get the best out of students if we didn't feel like we had a family atmosphere in here where we felt super safe and super comfortable. And that's always going to be number one, what I try to do and work through in working with your son or daughter. Okay, on to what we're actually going to be learning this year and the units that we'll be going through. Right now in English, we are working on we're just starting a narrative unit, a narrative reading unit, and we call it the deeper study of character. And each student has their own independent reading book that they're working in, and we have a class book that we're reading through called Popularity. I really love this story because it deals with a lot of peer interactions with students, and it gives us a nice perspective from one student on dealing with a lot of the issues that students go through. In this story and in this unit, we will really dive into character trait work, seeing themes in stories, and that will really support them when we move on to our next unit, which will be narrative writing. They should, by that time, really start to see how stories tend to go and how we develop deep characters. Those all work together to support the themes in our stories, and that will be a really strong transition that we can make from that narrative reading to narrative writing. That should get us all the way up through November, end of November. It's at that point we always have those nice awkward 2 weeks or 3 weeks between then and December and our winter break. Depending on how fast we go through those units, we may be able to start our next unit with a little pre-reading. That unit is a literary essay unit where we do a little bit of argument about characters in short stories. So we may be able to get through reading the short stories and going into winter break, and we may even be able to do some sort of essay boot camp. That's how things tend to go, but every year is different and every class is different. And So we're not just gonna manufacture how the year will go at this point without changing it. I, and the rest of the sixth grade team, it works together super closely, and so we will adapt what we need to do to meet their needs. Finally, you can see my contact information up here on the screen, and I definitely prefer email. That's the best way to get in touch with me. I do check my email sometimes during non-school hours, but I try to keep a good work-life balance. So if I don't get to you because you email me later in the day, I expect that you should see something early the next morning. The final thing is there are some note cards and writing utensils that will be passed out to you, and I'm going to leave you a couple questions here on the screen that I really appreciate if you would respond to, so that I can get to know you and your child just a little bit better. It'll help me serve them this year, because that's my job, is to serve the kids that I have. Okay, thank you, and I hope you have a good rest of your night. Peace.